Hello, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to do an oil change on a 2001 Honda Civic EX. You can do this virtually. It's the same thing with any car, but if you're looking for this car in particular, I'm going to be showing you how to do the oil change. The things that you will need to perform the oil change is obviously your oil and your oil filter. This is the one that my dad bought. If you need the part number or whatever, I recommend OEM or some other better brand, but here's the part number for in case you just can't find it. You will need a 17mm socket for your drain plug. I have two wrenches. This is a 1/2 inch drive. This is a 1/2 inch socket. And to make your life easier, buy one of these. They're pretty much a socket for your oil filter. Sometimes they get stuck, and I'll be showing you how to use this. It's very helpful for when you need to get those stubborn oil filters out. And it's not that expensive. It's only like $4 at Walmart, as you can see from the brand Hyper Tough. Breaker bar with a extended pipe in case you need that extra leverage for whatever reason, just to make your life easy. And a torque wrench. You don't need to use one, but it's optional. You'll need one of these containers to hold your oil. Again, you can buy these at Walmart. This holds about 16 quarts, 15 liters of oil capacity. It's really nice. A sort of jack or something in order to lift the car. Jack stands, some WD-40 for whatever reason you run into any problems. Just note that some of these don't work for all cars. These are only meant for SUVs like my Durango and my Sonoma back there. This is tall, like the incline is high, like the angle is high enough that it works good for those SUVs and trucks, but for cars it'll scrape the bumper and it just doesn't work. This one I lined it up perfectly, but the other one is hideous. The other one, that's unsafe. So you don't want to do that. Take your time, find the right length of wood for both sides, so that way they can, you don't have to struggle too much. But yeah, that's not safe. It's better to have two people, but you can still do it by yourself. Just be smarter about it. Now, when you're gonna lift up your car, you can do it from the pinch weld, though you just gotta be careful because sometimes it could bend it. As you can see, this, if you lift it up high enough in the air, this tries to slide, but because it's on the dirt, it'll sink in and it'll try to bend this pinch weld because of all the weight and pressure, etc. Now you're gonna grab your jack stand and your wood to start placing it underneath the vehicle. We're gonna be placing it on the pinch weld as there won't be any movement. So instead of just relying on the jack stand themselves, I'm gonna use the jack as an extra support stand, so that way if anything fails, these two are holding it up and still giving me a chance to leave out of the car and give me some wiggle room to get out. Now give your car a good wiggle just to see if it gives any movement, just to be on the safe side. We don't want the car falling on top of us or on you or on me in particular. Keep the oil cap open so that way it can breathe a lot efficiently, breathe. And that way you can have the oil drain a little bit faster. Like right now, it's warm to the touch. It's not hot, but it is warm since I was moving the car and I was idling for like about a minute. It'll help the oil flow down a lot easier. So this will help a little bit in draining the oil. Now I am underneath the car now. I am on the driver's side. This is the oil pan. In my case, it's not a number 17. It's a number 16. So I'm gonna be using a number 16 socket right above the axle. Right up there is where the oil filter is. How fun. So the oil filter is right up here. That's why I said having that ratchet is going to help a lot in order to loosen this up, because this is tight. Normally you're only supposed to use your hand force to tighten it and hand strength to loosen it, but in this case this thing is very, very solid on there, so I'm going to be using the wrench. Now this is really tight. It's frozen on here, so the last person that did the oil change tightened it super hard. Now this is why we're going to use the breaker bar, because this is very tight. Remember, it's lefty loosey, righty tighty. I was able to get the oil filter free. It took a while. The tool was slipping, but I have a little tip that you can do in order to prevent it from slipping. Hey, look at that. Hey, no oil in my hand. Now give it some time for it to drain out all the oil. For the meantime, I'm gonna come back, sit, and move out of the way. The wrench got onto the filter, but it was slipping off. And so that was my main issue. The tool wasn't working. And so what I had to do was grab a piece of paper, fold it in there, and then jam it on the filter itself. And like just like that, it was like magic. It just loosened right up as soon as I started wrenching it. Because like I said, this is a 3/8 drive. And so the moment I stuck the piece of paper and I was hammering it, I hammered the tool into it. I started turning it and it freed up like nothing. So that's why I recommend having this tool, because it made it super easy. I could literally not turn it with my hand. It was so hard. But yeah, I was able to get it out. So it was hard to get the bolt out. And this needs to have an O-ring. This doesn't even have an O-ring. Usually there should be one around here, or at least not a rubber one, but a metal one. And this doesn't even seem to have one. I'm gonna have to go and get one, because this definitely needs some sort of ring around it. I don't know what happened, but it's missing. Once the oil finished draining, now you can compare the oil filters to make sure they're the right size and the right measurements. Just make sure they're adequately the same. You know, they should be the same. And so this one will fit. Now what you can do is add a little bit of oil to the ring so it makes it easier to pull out. If you can mount your oil upwards like this without spilling any oil, then I do recommend you putting in some, because the moment you turn on your engine, it's going to suck the oil from this filter and it's going to start circulating through the engine. But if you can't, don't worry about it, because it's going to have oil. It's essentially going to run without oil for like what, like a second or two, but it's only like a second or two. It's still essentially, it still has oil in it. Now as you can see, I'm turning the filter. It's not that hard, so you shouldn't have it super tight. It should just be like right there, like a couple of tights turn, like, you know, it shouldn't be super tight at all. When you're gonna add the oil, make sure that the new oil that you're getting has a brand new sealed. You don't want to buy oil that has a sealed broken or ripped, because you just don't know what somebody just put in the oil at the stores. Some people like to just test it or whatever, but I wouldn't buy it if it's been open, just to be on the safe side. I'm not sure how many liters this oil takes. I believe with 4 cylinders, I know this one, it should be like a 3.9 liters. I'm not quite sure. I'll put the numbers specs up here so that way you'll know for sure. But the best way to tell, if you can't look at the owner's manual, if you don't have it, then you can just look at this level right here, and it should get to this point right there. Luckily, this car still has its owner manual, the original one for this car. And so here it says it uses 3.7 US quarts, and if there is any other model like the DX or LX, it will use 3.4 quarts. So there you have it, and that's without the filter. If you need to take a quick look at this, here you go. It has all that specs if you need it, and here's the other specs in case if this is useful. And there you go. As you can see, we have reached the level. It's tedious, just do it little by little, don't rush it. It's easier to add more oil than it is to take out. And that's how you do the oil change in your car or in your 2001 Honda Civic. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment about what you like. What's your best method on doing an oil change? What more do you want to see about on this Civic? What more things you guys want to learn? And as always, I look forward to seeing you next video.